Welcome to The Curious Developer. I'm Jesper Pedersen from KDAB, and with me today I have once again a guest star, Jan Marker. And Jan, you look so much older than when we talked last. What happened?
Hi Jesper, thanks for having me again. What happened is that we did record in April, and a lot has changed since then, and we thought we'd give you the newest updates, like you, the viewers, in the QDAI assistant in QCreator. So we decided to record it again, or do another recording together.
Excellent. And it's amazing with me. I don't look a day older than 6 months ago. So. Oh, is the jingle already over? I'm sorry. Jan, welcome again. Can you show us what happened in Qt AI Assistant since April? And this is September now.
Yes. So there have been quite a few changes. We will go through a few of them. I'm sure we will miss one or the other, but I will look at a few of the larger things that I found interesting looking at the new release. You see on my screen now the settings page, which I think is a good way to get an overview about what changed. Maybe the first thing that you notice is that you can now there are no added context settings where you can choose to provide additional context in some situations. And this is the newest edition at the time of recording. And what this does as a key thing is that it allows you to add more files to requests that you send to the LLM. So I will show this now. If I go to the code, and this is the same code we used in our previous recordings, for example, I can select, let's say, the double size, and then I can say, explain how size is used in the project. And previously, this could only look at the code in the current file, up and down, and what I had selected. But now it can look at other files in the project, for example, also at the QML file to my right, and it will... Let's see, it should be using this information to give us a response.
That's the beauty of AI. It'll give you a new answer and the wrong one every time you record.
Yeah, but here we see, so it represents this information. The size property is a double, okay. Right, this doesn't really look like it looked into the QML file, to be honest. I would have expected it to give a reference, for example, here to the text element over here. So maybe we'll just try this again. Yes, so now we got a reference to the main.qml file, which makes me believe that it actually looked at the other files and realized that there is, right, it also describes what's happening there. So now I believe that it actually looked at the context that is the other files and gave a response based on that.
And just in case that the viewer is sitting there and saying, well, wait a minute, we already did that. Jan added what was it back then? A population or something, but that was with Visual Studio Code where we actually, so this is catching up with at least that part of Visual Studio Code where it's capable of actually looking in more than just one file.
Yes, to my understanding, it doesn't support editing the files, which is what we showed in Visual Studio Code. But yeah, this is looking at multiple files, where, as you were saying, it's really catching up with other AI tools.
Awesome. Okay, what else do you have for me?
I will talk a little bit more about context first. So you also see that there is an option to add an aiignore file. This follows the same syntax as a gitignore file would be following. And the idea is that you can prevent this context mode from looking at files that you don't want the LLM to look at. The blog post did mention a few caveats that if you have the file opened and you actively interact with it with the AI tool, it will not consider the aiignore file. So this is really about context capabilities here.
So I guess one obvious file that it could ignore is all the mock files that are generated.
Yes. I would also expect that the tool already detects the build directory and tries to be smart about which files to use or not, but I can't look at the code, so I can't tell you for sure.
Okay, Fair enough.
Another option that is now available is the QML Linter, where it can use the QML linting tools to look at QML code and use the output from those to incorporate that into the LLM response. I haven't set this up all quite well, so I will not be demoing this, but this is another capability that they also explained in blog posts. So this is interesting, especially in the context of QML programming, where other AI tools usually don't specialize into. So this is really a outstanding feature for QDAI Assistant compared to other tools.
So let me understand this correct. Are we talking about like agent mode now, where the LLM knows that it has a linter and it knows that it can call upon the linter for more diagnostics and so on?
That depends on how they have implemented it. And I don't quite know this, but from how I understand this to be working and integrate into the interface, I would say it's at the verge of agent mode, where you can use external tools. You cannot configure what kind of tools are available. And I think, so this is my guess from looking at how this is set up, that the LLM cannot really decide, do I want to call tools or not? But it's rather that the QCreator plugin detects there is QML code, so let's run the linter on it. But it is getting up there to agent tools because it is indeed calling an external tool, just not completely in a free mode as you would expect from an agent. So another piece that I found quite exciting here is that you also see this at the top of the settings bar. There is custom model configuration. So when we look at the models for QML, I can choose, so I want to do this for models for other language. So if I choose this here, I can say for prompts, please use a custom model. And this means that it uses the configuration up here in the tabs, and we can look at custom prompt model. And you now see that I have made a setup that uses the OpenAI API, which is a bit redundant because you could already have used an OpenAI model with the normal configuration. But what I did here is that we use GPT-5 Nano. And if I go back to the settings and we take a look here, there is no GPT-5 model set up here. So this is something where I can actually extend the amount of models that we can use. The way that the setup works is that I use the normal API URL for the OpenAI platform. I need to set up the authentication here, which I do via this authorization header combined with the bearer authentication mode. This token here is one that I generated out of the OpenAI platform. So if you as a viewer want to reproduce this, you would basically reproduce this field here and then replace the token. As we were doing the same way that we were doing this in the other episodes, we will revoke this token before the video comes up. There is no point in reusing this. Yeah. And then down here, we can use the OpenAI. Sorry, yeah?
This is me folding, yeah. So this magic that you have there in the header, the authorization and barrier and whatever your token there, I saw a tooltip there. Was that how you learned that you would do it like this? Or is there a place that I need to go and look at the 20 different options that I possibly could have here?
So when I did this the first time, this field was actually pre-filled to demo how this could work. And I think it was pre-filled with the Anthropic version of the API that you see in the tooltip. You see that for Anthropic, the plugin lists a few more options, which is the API key and the version of the models you're interested in. For OpenAI, it only lists the authorization, and I wouldn't really know what else you would want to set up with this. But I assume that if the OpenAI APIs offer more configuration via headers, you could just write the headers that you're interested in here. The key usage for this, from my point of view, is the authorization.
And you were talking about the body now.
Right. I wanted to jump to the body where this is also the normal OpenAI setup. So if you look at the OpenAI API documentation, you can see that there's more parameters to set here. You could choose, for example, the temperature or token configurations. I've kind of condensed it to the minimum where we choose the model that we want to work with, and we insert the prompt that is being generated by the plugin. And you can also see the prompting templates down here on the bottom, where this is a template, and then the plugin will paste in the selected code here. It will paste in the chat message that we wrote here. So this is then used to assemble a prompt, which is then inserted up here, which is then sent to OpenAI.
So going back to the body, you have GPT-5 Nano. It's too early in my morning to say that out loud. So if I went to the full-blown GPT-5, then I would just be burning more tokens, right?
Yeah, so this would be the setup for this. You wouldn't be burning more tokens in that sense, because tokens is a measure of how much text do you upload and how much response do you get. But depending on the model you choose, the tokens are more or less expensive. I haven't looked at the prices here, but the full GPT models are usually more expensive than the mini or nano versions because OpenAI needs less resources to run them, and that makes it cheaper. I was thinking you might be wondering why then did I use nano? Is it only for the money? Another reason to use the nano model here is that for the GPT-5 models, if I want to use them via the API, OpenAI requires me to authenticate or verify my account with additional setup steps. And I didn't want to jump through those hoops for the videos, so I didn't set this up, so I cannot demo GPT-5. But if viewers or users verify their respective accounts on the OpenAI API platform, then they can also use GPT-5 here.
And in case you're watching this and there is unexpected difficulties, by all means, do give us some feedback in the comment for other viewers of this. So down in the prompts, what would I possibly be doing down there? Is that a place where I would be messing more around with? I mean, you're a QAI programmer assistant tools that start out there. I would personally, to feel more comfortable, I would add something like, and you are a teenager that is obnoxious, because that's what I have here at home. And so I'm used to getting the usual beep words in every second sentence. So I would feel uncomfortable if my AI didn't. No, seriously, what could I possibly add down there?
The prompt influences the quality of your responses quite extensively. So a typical method to prompt LLMs, for example, is to give a lot of examples of what the output could look like that the LLM generates, and then only give it the actual prompt. So you could modify let's say the explain prompt, for example, which is for the explain action that is available in the chat interface. You could extend this prompt and give a few examples of how a good explanation, what it looks like. Maybe you prefer bullet points, or maybe you prefer full sentences. So you would write a few examples. Then the expectation is that the output that the LLM generates actually follows the examples that you set. So this would be one method. Another method to tune prompts is that you define a role. Like here in this prompt, they are doing it using you are a cute AI programming assistant tool. But you could extend this to say you are a cute AI programming assistant tool with the background of a senior QML developer, or with the background of a junior QML developer. And that way you also tune how the responses work. If I recall correctly here, they are prompting to say that this should be understandable. The output should be understandable even with little programming experience. Here it says the explanation should be understandable even to someone with basic programming knowledge. But you, Jesper, as someone very experienced with C++ and QML, I mean, you posted this whole training course on YouTube. You might want to change this to say, assuming I have 10 years of experience with QML, and then the explanations would be more detailed and more to the point of what you want. At least that's the hope.
That's where my ego would explode. Like, you should say this in the tune of Jesper explaining it to you.
Oh, yes. And if that works, you've come full circle. You have yourself advising you. What more would you want?
Yep, there we are. Okay, cool. Anything else?
I would like to mention that they also, so when I say they, I mean Q Company who's developing this, they have extended and modified the number of models a little bit. So I think Gemini 2.5 Pro is new since the last time we've talked. They also added, and I need to see where this is, but they added CodeStrawl as a European model to the mix, because a lot of this is American. There would be DeepSeek with trained in Chinese. So there is a lot in China. So there is more variety here. I think they also removed some models because the models weren't up to the quality measures that Q Company has when they developed this. But again, now that there is custom mode, it will be much easier for you to choose a specific model that you're interested in or want to try out and then add here. Another thing that I would like to point out is that there's also a review mode. This you can configure here, which model to use for it. And the way that you get the review mode, so let's, for example, say we go to QML and we choose this here, and then we could type /review. And then we would get some version of a code review for this particular piece of code. I don't want to go into the details of how good this is. I just want to point out that this works. And the intention that Q Company had here in also separating out that the prompting and the review models are like a separate configuration is that this can extend the variety of feedback you get. So you could use GPT 4.1 mini to work with your code. But then when you actually want to review, you could use another model like Gemini 2.5 Pro to get more eyes or more differently trained LLMs looking at the same code. Yeah, so this is the large changes that I wanted to get into. If you have any more questions or there's anything you think we should point out, then more than happy to look into that.
Okay. And this is, of course, an invitation to all of our viewers to give us some feedback below. One thing that I would think would be cool if you've found a good prompt for whatever GPT you're using that will actually improve the feedback to you. Paste it down. Don't try and put a URL because YouTube will just, as I've learned over the years, just remove any comments with URLs in. But put in the note there or send it to me personally. Okay, thank you very much, Jan. That was cool. So just get an update here after how many episodes did we end up with? 9 episodes or so much in this AI series, and from recording to processing to cutting away backgrounds and whatnot. It did take some while, and it's nice to have an update here. Thank you very much, and hopefully see you here again soon.
Yep, see you soon.